try you.
Mm-hmm.
You all.
Yep. I think it's still sending to Facebook. I don't know why it's glitching with Facebook today.
It's glitching. It's
Yeah.
wrong, yeah.
Wow.
You're definitely on
YouTube. Yeah.
Yes.
I see it on the screen. We're on YouTube, but for some reason it's just
Hello?
it's not working.
For
And that,
Facebook.
yeah, that ain't cool. That is
Okay,
not
I'm
cool.
ready back in.
Let's see
That's the
here.
line. You on it.
Not sure why it's not working for Facebook.
Yeah.
We just got to give it a minute or two to let it percolate and germinate. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be back live on the show today. I had an amazing, an extraordinary, a remarkable, a magnificent, a next level experience in Miami, Florida, the last few days. It was somewhat of a personal and business trip, and for me to have a few days where I was able to sit and glean from some multimillionaires, billionaires, and everything else in between, it just did my heart real well. And so today I want to take some time to really talk to you about the 3 phases of business success. There are so many things that I learned. I can't even begin to tell you all the information that I learned this week during our trip to Miami. But what I can say to you, is this: those of you who, as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, who really want to take your finances and your businesses and your organizations to the next level, there are just some phases that you're going to have to commit to go through in order to see those desired results. And my job, my duty, my role, my obligation, my responsibility is to help assist you in that, to help facilitate that. But like anything, you have to at least be willing to not just open yourself up for the information, but you have to be willing to open yourself up for the levels and layers of commitment and consistent effort that are required to actually get you to the next level or whatever that desired result is. And I'll be the first to tell you, just watching a show on social media is not going to be enough. Okay, hitting and missing and having what some experts call transactional moments, where you're on a show or you're on a webinar or you're participating in some event with someone like me and there's a transaction taking place. Those types of transactional activities are not sufficient enough to sustain you as you go through the process of creating business success. And that's why I wanted to talk about the 3 phases of business success. This is actually a part of a teaching that I'm putting together that I will have on my online training platform. We're producing more content. We're producing more programs that we are preparing to introduce to our audience that already has our Blueprint Game Plan program. So if you're part of our university training program, if you're already participating in the Blueprint Game Plan, if you're a coaching client, or if you're just in our ecosystem somewhere with our consulting, coaching, or online training, I want you to stay on the lookout, because there's a lot of great information that we're preparing to deliver and we're preparing to introduce to our audience, to our community. But again, for those of you that just participate in our, in our show. You're on every day. You're getting the information. You're learning things. I want you to go beyond just the transactional activities. I want you to make the decision and really the commitment to lean in further. Like one thing this trip that I just took this week to Miami taught me. This is one of the tons of things that I learned. But one thing it taught me was that when you are in close proximity to people who have already won and succeeded in areas that you are fighting to win and succeed in, just that proximity alone, outside of the information, outside of the teaching, outside of the training, outside of the impartation, proximity alone will give you a lift to actually start winning wherever you are. It's kind of like when you see somebody playing a sport, or when you see somebody engaging in some type of battle, and all of a sudden they get this second win, and their coach says something to them, or the president comes down out of the bleachers and says something to them, or one of their parents yells something at them from the sideline, or their trainer jumps in the ring and gives them a quick pep talk, and all of a sudden the whole situation changes and it turns for their good. And a lot of times, even if they lose the game, just experiencing that moment of having that lift gives them enough momentum to really start winning moving forward. As a matter of fact, I just saw on social media last week a clip that was being circulated of Floyd Mayweather when he was in the Olympics, before he went professional and started fighting as a professional, and he lost the Olympics. They ruled in favor of his opponent. And while the guy was trying to interview him, Floyd literally like wiped blood from his nose and just started crying. And you could tell he was just so overwhelmed with emotion, he walked away. But when you look back at such an amazing career that Floyd Mayweather has had, the highest grossing boxer ever, has generated billions and billions of dollars, worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, most likely within a year or two, probably going to come out to be one of the next black sports billionaires. I mean, the dude is doing big things. They joke and, goof off about him, but the brother knows his stuff when it comes to his money, right? But when you look back at his illustrious career, 50-0, left at the height, still making 7, 8, 9 figures just when he wants to come in, right? When you go back and look at that video and you see that clip and how he responded and how he looked, you can tell there was something in that moment that told him, I'll never lose again. Wow. And he went into his professional career never losing again. Never even being put in a position where he had to have that feeling again. I'm bringing this up to some of you who are out there fighting right now, because you're fighting a battle without the right people, without the right resources, without the right tools, without putting yourself in a committed position to really, really, really lean in. And that was one of the biggest lessons I taught, because while I sat there this week listening to multimillionaires, not people who capping on social media, not people who faking like and acting like they got it, but people who have far exceeded not only our expectations of what someone can do, but they far exceeded their own expectations. One gentleman I was listening to sold his last company for $151 million. He's now on to his next venture that has already in 2 years become a $50 to $75 million a year business, and he's projecting to cross over into $100 million and has a goal to take this company to Wall Street into billions, and he's on his way doing it. But I'm sitting there listening to this guy and I'm realizing that the fact that I can pay and invest my hard-earned money to sit front row and to rub shoulders with, take pictures with, and glean from someone who is building $1 billion empire and who's willing to answer my questions, who's willing to give me the game on a level that is so unprecedented, it's hard to wrap your mind around, and to know that the only thing outside of the intangible stuff, outside of the spiritual stuff, outside of the mental stuff, the only thing that got me an opportunity to have that experience was me making a commitment to invest in myself and in my business. Not knowing what was going to happen. I'm not even talking about the content and the information and the data. I'm just talking about being able to ask certain questions, being able to get certain answers. And so let me give you these 3 phases. Let me give you these 3 phases of business success. For those of you who have a desire, who have dreams, who have aspirations to create business success, I want to give them to you, okay? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop tripping about what you don't have, what you can't do, what you don't think you have the capabilities of. And I want you to just go ahead and commit to being successful in business. I want you to just commit to being successful in business. Commit to being successful in business. I am committed to my business success. I'm committed to my organization's success. I am committed to my financial success. I am committed, and watch this. The moment your mind is able to accept that commitment, you will figure out how to get in proximity to the people, to the places, and to the things that could help you further along in that trajectory. But most people who never get that thing started are people who really never committed. They talk like they committed. They move like they committed. They act like they committed, but they never committed. So what are the 3 phases of business success? I'm going to give you just the simple version of these 3 sophisticated phases of principles. And if you want more, I want you to commit to be a part of our coaching program. Commit to join our Blueprint Game Plan program, which, by the way, if you're in our coaching program, you get our blueprint for free for a year, and you get access to me for our one-on-one coaching sessions, for our group coaching masterminds. We have a group coaching mastermind coming up in a couple weeks, and I would love for you to be in the ecosystem, in proximity to myself and to my team and to everybody that we're pulling along the way, and we're attracting along the way that can help get you to where you want to go. So the 3 phases of business success. Number one, the first phase is to build. To build. You got to build. You got to build. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, okay? The second phase, number 2, is to blossom. To blossom. The third phase is to break out. To break out. So if you are dreaming, desiring, anticipating true business or financial success, it might be personal financial success, it might be ministry success, it might be business success, it may just be success in all of those areas. If you are dreaming, desiring, and anticipating success in business and finances or in any type of organization or structure, you're going to have to go through these 3 phases. Most people never even start these 3 phases. Most people never even get it. It's like signing up to play football with Pop Warner, right? Signing up to play volleyball or basketball or soccer or whatever it is, baseball. Signing up to be in a sport or to get in a game. And the whole time you sit on the sidelines, never hearing your name called. And you go home so disappointed because you signed up, you paid a price to be there, but you really didn't get called to actually get in the game. But then at some point in your life, you look back and you learn and realize the reason why you paid money to sign up, you gave your effort and your time to show up and never got called into the game was because there were certain conditions that needed to be met that you never even knew needed to be met. There were certain things you needed to do that you didn't even know you needed to do. There are certain people you needed to connect to and communicate with, and certain boxes that you needed to check, and certain forms you needed to fill out. All this stuff, and you like, man, if I knew then, ain't that what we say? What I know now, I would have done what needed to be done to get in the game at that time. And then you look back and think, that would have saved me headaches. That would have saved me heartaches. That would have saved me disappointment. I cried on the way home and all kind of crazy stuff because you didn't know what you didn't know. You couldn't do what you couldn't do. Well, these three phases of business success are the same. There are a lot of people who think they're in the game of business because they got an LLC, because they got a good idea, because they got a solid side hustle, because they've gone to some school and have gathered a little information or read some books or Googled and YouTube searched enough that they think they've mastered or figured out the basic fundamentals of being in business. And guess what? They hadn't even gotten the game. They were on the sidelines sitting in bleachers, and while the real players were playing the game and winning, they were watching players play the game and win, but they never got in the game to experience winning for themselves. And here are the three phases: to build, to blossom, and to break out. So when you think about the first phase of business success, which is building, what do I mean by building? Well, you actually have to build a real business. You have to build a real business. Of course, building a real business includes starting a legal entity like an LLC, structuring that legal entity like a holding company or a division or subsidiary or a business enterprise or conglomerate. So building does include the startup and the structuring of that legal entity. But building also includes how you develop yourself as a person to actually lead this business. Building includes the processes that you have to create, the systems that you have to integrate, the products and services that you've got to form from your ideas and from the concepts that you have in your mind. The prices that you have to attach to those products and services, the marketing of those products and services, the capacity, the ability and skill set to sell those products and services, to build relationships, to build the infrastructure in your family and in your networks and even within yourself to be able to carry the weight of this thing called the business. All of this includes or encompasses the building phase of business success, which is why, based on some of the items that I just addressed, most people never even get in the game to starting this three-phase process. Let me give you a few statistics just in case I'm losing you with a lot of lingo. Let me give you some statistics. Here are some statistics that we were talking about this week with other entrepreneurs. Listen to this statistic. 31.5 million businesses exist in the United States of America. 31.5 million businesses exist in the United States of America. So if you have a registered business, if you have an LLC, if you have a S Corp, a C Corp, a partnership, if you have a legal entity in the United States of America, most likely you are a part of this 31.5 million businesses in the United States of America. I think we can all agree on that. You can actually Google what I'm telling you. All right? So there are 31.5 million businesses in America. All right? All of these businesses are small to mid-sized businesses. Okay? All of these businesses are small to mid-size. Like the huge, humongous businesses, they're not even businesses. They are empires. They're dynasties. We're just talking about like the small to mid-sized businesses that are just operating on a day-to-day basis in the United States of America. There are 31.5 million. These are some good stats that we were discussing this past week in Miami. 25 million of these 31.5 million businesses only have one employee. And that one employee is typically the owner. So 25 of the 31 million businesses, small to mid-sized businesses, are operating by a solo entrepreneur. Okay? 5.3 million of those businesses have anywhere from 2 to 11 employees. And only 600,000 of those 31.5 million businesses have 12 or more employees. Here's what's startling. This thing shook me. 2/3 of these 31.5 million businesses, which are 22 million, they fail cyclically. So that means every 3 to 5 years, 22 million of these 31.5 million businesses fail. Think about that. Now, there are so many reasons why, because we learned a lot of reasons why businesses fail. There are so many different reasons why, but I want to attach that statistic to these 3 phases of business success. Think about the building. Think about properly starting, properly structuring. Think about making sure that your products and your services are actually formed right, but actually priced right, so that when you do introduce them to the market, you can actually make money. Think about if the business is started and structured and the business has products and services to take to the market and have priced the products and services right. Think about the overwhelming pressure that the solopreneur is having, trying to be the chief sales officer, the chief executive officer, the chief marketing officer, the chief financial officer, and the chief operations officer. Think about the pressure that this one person is under, trying to do the books and the accounting, trying to do the administration, trying to get contracts right, trying to put data into a system, trying to integrate CRMs and email campaigns and figure out content creation and all of these things that this one person, this is why most of the things never get done. And a lot of times when a single entrepreneur is building a business, okay, and they're really not building it, they're still in the startup phase, they're so overwhelmed with trying to start it up and get the legal things right and to get the technical things right and some of the accounting and system things right, they forget about sales. Because I know a whole lot of business owners today. I wouldn't call no names on this show, but I know a whole lot of business owners today, right? That every time you talk to them, they always talking about everything except sales. They ain't never talking about making money. They ain't never talking about selling their products. They ain't never talking about how many people they just talked to and tried to sell. They ain't talking about appointments they got lined up to give presentations. They ain't talking about none of that. All they talking about is logos, websites, LLCs, EIN numbers, paperwork, and a whole bunch of minutia. Excuse me. Ooh, wow. Ooh, that went, I don't know what that was. That was like a dry throat moment. A whole bunch of minutia that doesn't generate sales. So they really never get into the building phase. Because when you are building a business, you're actually pouring a concrete foundation of not just principles, but a concrete foundation of practices, a concrete foundation of processes, a concrete foundation of products, things that will help make this business that you're building sustainable. Think about when a building is being built. Have you ever seen a building that's being built from the windows first? Have you just rolled down a road and you saw a building being built and they got windows just hanging out the sky, but you don't see no infrastructure? Have you ever seen roofers trying to put a roof up on a building and the building hadn't been built yet? No, because there's a foundation that has to be laid, and it has to be concrete enough, and it has to go deep enough into the ground and have pillars strong enough to carry the weight of what's being built on top of it. And so the first phase of your business success is to build. And so I want you to take into consideration, if you already have a LLC, if you already have like your legal entity set up, if you already have like some of the basic things taken care of, you might have a few products and services that you want to introduce to the market. You might already have a website, a logo. You might have some of the things that don't really make any difference with the building, with the foundation, but let's just assume for the sake of this conversation that you got a few of those things, right? Okay, so what do you need to do to build it? Well, you need to think about processes. You need to think about the infrastructure things, the systems. You got to think about yourself as a person. You got to think about your principles. You got to think about what is your mindset? How do you think? What do you actually believe? So that as you start building, when certain things come up, you're not going to be thrown off by those things because you've actually created something or built a solid foundation that can sustain you. And when I say things coming up, I'm talking about when you ain't making no money. You know how to pivot because you got a solid foundation. When there's a health issue in your family, or let's say if you're trying to build this foundation for your business and you still working on a job, but they lay you off. Let's say if your funds run low and you don't have working capital. All of these things have to at least be understood fundamentally while you are building. Like when you see people on pieces of property pouring concrete, okay, for the foundation, for the slab of that building that they're building, let me tell you something. They already have a blueprint for what that whole building is going to look like. The truth is, if you talk to one of the engineers or architects that work on that property or that building, they'll probably be able to show you graphs and visual images of how the building is going to look when everything is done and when it's being occupied. You can literally see that. Like there are high rises that they build around here in Buckhead all the time. They build townhomes, apartment communities. Matter of fact, on the other side of us right here, they're building AMLI, that apartment development company. They're building a new apartment complex beside the one they just built. You can actually go over there and pre-lease. You can pre-lease apartments that are still being built. How can you pre-lease an apartment? You could do this with homes. When you go to a community where a contractor is building homes, they might have a model home. And sometimes even when they don't have a model home, they got paperwork, they got graphs and images to show you what the homes look like, what the square footage is, what the rooms are. You can actually purchase a house that hadn't even been built. But because they have a blueprint, this is where the building phase of your business success is. There are a lot of people who out there just winging it. Back to a point that I made. When you're building, your building has to be done in a way that it's already bringing you to an expected end. So you already have the philosophies and the values, the views, you got the principles and the practices embedded in you because you, as a builder of a business, have been educated and trained and prepared for that. You ain't just around here winging it every day. I know how that feels because for years, I was a solopreneur and really wasn't even a solopreneur. I was just a hustler thinking I was a solopreneur. And I was winging it every day, just trying to survive, trying to make a couple dollars to pay the bills. And when I started growing into becoming an entrepreneur, I realized that even being an entrepreneur was not sustainable enough for me to grow my business and really experience business success. I had to mature and to develop as a business owner, meaning that I had to go through this same process or these same phases. And to some extent, I'm still in these phases because it feels like you get to a certain point in life, you just start rinsing and repeating the same thing you perfected. So when you know something works good, you just keep doing it over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Like you just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. There are so many habits that I have in my day-to-day activities and my day-to-day life. And a lot of these habits are based on me hitting and missing for years and then deciding I need to build something sustainable in this area of my life. And then I built something and I tried it and it worked and I tweaked it a little bit and then it worked and then I tweaked it and then it worked and then I tweaked it. And then when I finally locked into something that I felt like was successful, guess what I did? I just kept rinsing and repeating the same thing over and over and over. And I do it every day. I do it every day. I do it every day. And I get gooder and gooder at it because I continued to do it. But I could not continue to rinse and repeat if I didn't what? Build it. I didn't build it. There's an old adage that a lot of people in church like to use when it comes to building churches. That the adage is, if you build it, the people will come. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, because I know a lot of churches that's been built and still empty. But one thing I do know is, in your mind, if you're able to build a real infrastructure for where you want your business success to grow, and you actually have the data, the processes, the systems, the intelligence, the information, the resources, the connections, the relationships, and the people to help undergird and support you, you're going to get to that expected end. That's one of the biggest things I learned. To listen to somebody speak to me just this past week and to get just a brief whiff of some of the things that I'm doing, right? And for them to say unequivocally, without even pausing, you can definitely be a $25 million business. They stood up there in front of that group of people and was assessing and dissecting a lot of our businesses and a lot of our operations and was like, if you do these 8 things, you'll be a $25 million business. And then once you hear it and you see it and you're like, oh shoot, but they had to show us a blueprint. They showed us a blueprint to get to a $100 million business and how having a $100 million business looks. And we were like, oh wow. I'm sure a lot of people were looking at it goofy, like, oh, that don't mean nothing to them. But it meant something to me because here in one of our pre-sessions, this is day 1 since I've been back. I just explained to you a process that it took me almost 20 hours of just brain dumping for 2 days in Miami to get. And I just explained that process in a way that, oh, it made sense to my personal assistant. Yep. But guess what? I had to pay to be there. And I had to sit and humble myself, at least to the extent that I could get the information so that I can process it. So the first phase of business success is building. You got to build it. Number 2 is blossom. Blossom. We used to always say this in church back in the days, especially when we were like young whippersnappers in the spirit, like getting groomed under a lot of leaders. They would always say, Dad Jones would always say it too, blossom where you're planted. That's what they would say, blossom where you're planted. So instead of jumping around, blossom where you're planted. This is one of the reasons why some entrepreneurs never succeed. I'm telling you, because they never blossom where they're planted. Every time they get a little extra money, they start a whole new business. And that business doesn't even have a symbiotic flow to their current business. So it's kind of like you doing construction, right? And you're trying to build a construction company, but you have not built it with the right systems and processes and principles and practices and products and services. You haven't built a real business around that thing. But even when you're not built, when you have not been able to succeed, here all of a sudden you start, like you start a lighting business or something. Like some business that's not even close to what you're doing. And it's like, wait a minute, why don't you blossom where you're planted? If you blossom where you're planted, at some point it can be sustainable so that even if you're not in it, it still operates without you. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs, you just seen the stats. 31.5 million businesses in the United States, small to mid-size. 25 million businesses only have one employee, and the one employee is the person who owns it. And 22 million of those 31 million, that's 2/3 of those businesses, they will fail within 3 to 5 years. Now you like, how can 22 million businesses fail in 3 to 5 years, and then in 3 to 5 years we still got 30-something million businesses? Because every time a business fails, there are like 5 other businesses that start. So every day new businesses fail, but new businesses start. So no matter what point in time you're in, there are probably going to be 30-something million businesses, but you gotta think about the millions of businesses in a 3-year period that are started, and the millions of businesses that fail. So within a 3 to 5 year period, if let's say 3 years from now, if we still got 31 million businesses, here's the thing, it's not the same 31 million though. It's a different 31 million. 22 million of that new 31 million are 22 million new businesses, because 22 other million businesses failed, while 22 million more were being started. So every 3 to 5 years, it's a cyclical cycle where 1 million businesses fail a month, 1 million businesses start a month. That's how it goes. One group goes, one group comes. You don't want to be in that group that goes, but guess what? If you don't blossom after you have built, you're gonna fail, because the numbers don't lie. The data proves it. You're not gonna be able to sustain a business that's not making money. You're not gonna be able to continue to move forward in a business that's not generating revenue and giving you the capacity and the ability to continue to grow and move forward. So how do you blossom? You blossom by doubling down on what you're actually good at with your business. If you don't know what you're actually good at in your business, it means that you're not gonna blossom. You gotta go back to build. You haven't built the right products and services. You haven't built the right processes and systems. As good of a business as mine is, we definitely not stuck in that 22 million failure group. We're moving. We're in the 5.3 million, because we got a couple employees. So at least we're in the 5.3 million group. We working before this year is out to get into that 600,000 businesses that have 12 or more employees. We moving to be in that group by the end of the year. But here's my point in bringing that up. Even though we might be further along than what we even thought we could be by this stage in our business, guess what? I'm still grinding like I'm building. I'm still building new processes. I'm still building new systems. I'm still building products and services, because what I'm doing is actually a form of blossoming. I'm just doubling down on what I did that worked to get me where I am. So if I stop doing what I did to get here, and what got me here was working, and I start doing other things, well, I'm finna go into investing in this. I'm finna get into this kind of business and get into that kind of business. Guess what's gonna start happening? I'm gonna start failing. I'm gonna start slowing down. I'm gonna start retracting, and all of a sudden, I'm gonna find myself in a whole mess. So you gotta blossom where you're planted. You can't be trying to do 7 or 8 different things. Like, just do one thing good. And you can't say, yeah, but I done did it long and my time done ran out. Yeah, but you ain't got no successful business though. That's the excuse that people always give me. Well, my time is up. My season is up in this thing. Well, I don't even know if your season ever started. I mean, some people say that like they got like millions of dollars operating in a business. I know people who feel like my season up in this type of business. Yeah, but you ain't even got 10 grand coming through that business. Your season is not up. You gave up, or you just didn't have sustainable systems to help finance your blossoming. So you got to get back to the building. And number 3, the third phase is break out. Once you build and you blossom, then you can break out. Now you can look at other streams that actually flow in a symbiotic way, right, to what you have blossomed and built. That's how you create business success. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you, I am living, and I have put myself around people who have lived what I'm living thousands of times more. And I want you to grasp what I'm sharing with you. This is one of the reasons why I'm so dedicated and committed and diligent to showing up on this show every Monday through Friday. Whether people connect with me, whether they join my coaching program, purchase my products or services or not, I'm doing it because this is a part of my why. This is a part of my purpose. This is a part of my assignment. But for those of you that you know it resonates with you, you gotta lean in. You gotta lean in. You gotta lean in. Now, if you're not a part of our business coaching program, I thought I was gonna end it by July 1st. I thought today we was gonna be announcing that we're no longer offering our 1-year business coaching program. But after consulting with and conversating with my wife, my personal assistant, who make up my team, my core team, we decided that number one, we needed to continue our 1-year business coaching program, right? And number 2, we needed to create more avenues within that business coaching program to help our people get to where they want to go based on their personal, financial or business or ministry goals. And so if you've never joined a business coaching program, if you've never had a professional business coach, if you don't even have a clue what it encompasses or the benefits that you can gain from it, I want you to reach out to me. I want you to text the word coaching to 404-478-7213. That information is in the comments. Just text the word coaching. I want to sit down for a few minutes, whether in person, whether over a virtual Zoom, or whether over the phone, and just share with you a little bit about the importance of business coaching. I want to hear a little bit about what you're doing or what your goals are, and I want to show you where the right information, the right training, the right systems and support and processes and tools where they can actually help you achieve that goal or that desired outcome. And so if you text the word coaching to 404-478-7213, I will be more than happy to take a few minutes to provide a free consultation to you and to just share with you more information on the benefits of it and how it's going to benefit your life. It's not just benefits for me, it's a benefit for your life. We're also preparing for an upcoming business coaching mastermind. Of course, if you're a part of our business coaching program, the coaching masterminds are free. We give you free VIP tickets to our business coaching masterminds. We host one every quarter. And so this is basically our third quarter business coaching mastermind for 2021. When you join our coaching program, or if you have joined it, you are able to get a free VIP ticket to that business coaching mastermind. We have the information on our website, RamonPreston.com. you can go to RamonPreston.com. That information is in the comments. Click on live and virtual events, and you'll see that we have tickets to our live in-person business coaching mastermind that's coming up in a few weeks, and we have tickets or RSVP opportunities for our virtual event. So even if you can't make it in person, you can attend the virtual event. We give you opportunities to choose which one you would like to attend. And again, the cost to that business coaching mastermind is $59.99 for the in-person and $29.99 for the virtual. If you are a part of our coaching program, it's free. All you have to do is reach out to us and let us know as a coaching client that you're going to attend, and we will give you your 100% discount code so that you could go to the platform, RamonPreston.com, register and RSVP and prepare for the event. We just hosted in June 2 VIP workshops. We hosted a financial workshop and a holding company workshop. And we're still offering those 2 workshops today for $29.99. So if you would like access to any of those workshops that we hosted to learn about holding companies, to learn about QuickBooks or tax strategies, I want you to reach out to me. We've got a lot of information that we share. We have a lot of training programs and workshops and courses that we have. We provide a lot of strategies and solutions through our coaching and our consulting. So if there's anything we can do to help give you more information and to get you moving forward in your business, your ministry, your finances, reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be more than happy to serve you in that capacity. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope you learned something today on these 3 phases of business success, and we'll be back here tomorrow on the Ramon Preston Show. Love you.